Yeah, so we're going to transition into the Bad Mary piece. But speaking of that, that's what they do.
We're going to get deeper into this. Yeah,
I was actually going to I was trying to get them because Dave and me and Rob have been wanting to have live performances on the show for a long time. And it's really hard because, we had Patrick Ames do a live thing and it was fine. But when you're recording your stuff into the laptop mic, it doesn't always sound the best. So one thing the Bad Mary's been doing, which is really cool, is they've been doing live streams, and they'll get into it in a minute, I'm sure, with Dave about how they do all that. We were talking to Mike about it. But speaking of Mike Staub, I'll try to say it. How do you say your name?
Staub. Mike Staub.
Staub.
Yeah. It's
cool.
In German it means dust apparently, but I don't speak German, so jury's out on that one.
I had a Staub storm here in Phoenix going on.
Yeah, Staub storm.
All that vaping, man.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
So anyway, Mike's here. The whole band could be here tonight, but Bad Mary's so cool it didn't really matter. As long as one of them was here, it's gonna be awesome. So Mike's hanging out with us tonight, and Bad Mary is the featured artist. And hopefully we can get them to do live thing here sometime this year. Would be awesome. But
we can make that work.
Yeah, cool. Mike, so give us your elevator pitch on what Bad Mary's doing and who you guys are, basically. And if you could just briefly introduce the song Motormouth. We're going to watch a snippet of that video, and then we'll come back, get deeper with Dave.
Absolutely. Okay, so Bad Mary is a loud, fast, fun punk rock band from New York.
Yeah.
We are a multi-generational group of fairly agitated individuals who have written music that is aggressive and fun and melodic. So we take like the whole punk rock feel and the punk rock energy, and we cram it into these like 2-minute songs that are fun and energetic and offer people an escape to come and hang out and rock out and have some fun for a little bit. And this song, Motormouth, is actually the opening track to our latest EP, Glitter Bomb, that came out in September of 2017. And fun fact, this song and the rest of the EP, Glitter Bomb, were all recorded in a haunted mansion on Staten Island.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it was pretty cool, especially when we do a Misfits cover in a haunted mansion. I think that's pretty great. But so this is Motormouth, and it's real fast.
Let's do it.
Get it, Rob.
Deeper with Dave. Deeper with Dave. Oh, yeah.
Sponsored by.
Whoa.
So, yeah, according to recent Pew Research poll, 99.9% of parents of children who play in punk rock bands are disappointed in them. Now, so the lead singer of your band is Amanda.
That's
Her
right.
dad is your drummer.
Yes.
Let's start there. Tell me
So-
that story.
You know, when we were in, Amanda was in college. I was in grad school at a university here on Long Island called Hofstra University. David, our guitar player, is a professor there, and he runs a department band for the theater department that plays all these like theater department parties. So, I was brought into the band in my last year of college. Amanda was brought into the band a year later during her last year of college. And we played all these parties, and then we decided to move on from that and can continue to play afterward. So we continued to play afterward, and we had a drummer at that time. Her name is Rory. She's awesome. She's a great friend of ours, but she got a job down in Disney World working as for Disney doing production and whatnot. So we needed a drummer, and we knew we were going to start getting into writing our own music and not just doing covers for parties anymore. So we were sitting around and we were talking about it. And Amanda turns to us and goes, I don't know, let me ask my dad. And then Amanda asked Bill, her dad, and Bill was like, how could I say no to my daughter? And Bill came in and legitimately changed the face of the band for the better. And
How so, man? How so?
you know, I think Bill brings this energy to it. Even though Bill is not what anyone would consider a young man physically, still play, or age wise. Bill is
Very politically correct.
Yeah,
physically,
physically.
some
Bill-
might call him old.
Bill is well, physically might not be the right term. I think age-wise, they might consider him a little older. But Bill is a monster on the kit. You know, I've worked with very few drummers that hit the drums as hard as he does because in a good way and still musically, you know.
Aside from the playing, though, man, I just think that's such a unique story.
It's awesome.
Obviously never heard this in my life. It's not just a band, just any band where the father of the singer is playing like a punk rock band. So he's like, I mean, you were kind of saying before the show, like that's his background. I mean, 70s, 80s, punk, and a lot of the influences you mentioned, like the Stooges and Blondie and all that stuff. I would assume those were his influence as well.
Yeah, Bill has a long line of influences and a large variety of influences dating all the way back to like the Beatles and Cream and bands like Vanilla Fudge. But he's definitely Bill definitely played in some punk bands in the 80s. So when we brought him aboard to start writing music and stuff like that, he was like, oh great, this is like the 80s again. And it was like a breath of fresh air for him, and he's just awesome. I mean,
I just think that's such a cool story, man. But anyway, let's move on. So watching this video, man, I was at the end of it, and this also kind of ties into the social media discussion we'll get to in a second, but I want to ask the listeners to like go back in time like 10 years. And if you were to watch this video, I think you would, well, this is what I experienced. I'm looking at the video and I'm like, okay, 10 years ago, this probably looks like some type of dystopian, fearful universe that is coming for us, where we know about social media, but it's so deeply ingrained in our life and it's taken over and it's scary and everything. Yet that's what the world has become. And it's such an interesting take, because like 10 years ago, some might say, oh, that's, social media, whatever, that's kind of cheesy and everything. But this is our world, dude. We're live streaming through Facebook right now. And this is just say some thoughts. Feel free to spew some vitriol too.
It's weird. It's social media is one of those things where as a band, it's been completely invaluable to us in regards to connecting to people who want to hear our music and want to connect with us. We have some fans that found us on Twitter that have started a Bad Mary fans page. We have people who contact us all the time through Facebook. I mean, Joe contacted me through Facebook to do this interview today. So like, it's such a useful tool, and it's
just where everyone is. I mean, you can't deny it. It's where people hang out, and it hasn't changed. Like 10 years ago, the Facebook website had an average like session period of something like 22 minutes or everything.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, wow, this thing is really dominating people's lives. That hasn't gone away.
No.
Like it really hasn't. I mean, and it's amazing that it's just so deeply ingrained in our lives. It's not all positive. I mean, you see a lot of debates and a lot of viewpoints where there are negative aspects to it, just like getting lost in gaming or, stuff like that. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, the video for Motormouth and the song Motormouth is kind of a response to the negative side of these things. While social media offers a great tool for us, especially when it comes to like live streaming and all that things like that, that's been a very important part of our Bad Mary, how we connect with our fans, our ability to connect with our fans. But there is a dark side to it, and there's a lot of vitriol, to use your word, that's spewed all over social
That's your word. That was lyrics in your song, man.
That is true. Spewing, spewing vitriol while eating lunch. It's like you can sit down and just go on the internet and get upset when all you read are how much, what you're doing is fake, or you're not legitimate, or people hate you who've never even met you. It's such a weird dichotomy. But then there are people who we've never met in person who love us, who talk to us like we're their brother and sister. So it's like it's such a weird split. And
it is.
It's sometimes very encouraging, and it makes you feel warm and happy that there are people out there who love you. And then there's times you look at it and you go, I'm terrified.
You're part of the dystopia. You really feel like you're part of it. But so taking it a step further is you're doing something with your shows that it's the first time I've ever seen this. And this isn't new. You've been doing this, like at least a year, right?
Probably about a year.
Okay.
What we started to do is we started to live stream about a 30-minute set every week right to Facebook and Twitter from our studio, and it allows us to connect with
explain what you do, to explain the visual of it. Sure. Because it's really cool.
So what we do is we have this little studio in David's basement. David's our guitar player. He records all the stuff. He set up all the stuff. So what we do is we have all of our instruments, all of Bill's drums mic'd, all the instruments amped and mic'd, the vocal microphones all plugged into a system. That system is then run into like Logic and mixed and all that. We have all the presets in there for that. And then it comes out through the system into an iRig, which is a $40 item you can buy on Amazon or wherever you may shop, whatever. And that gets split into 2 iPhones. One goes to Twitter and one streams to Facebook. It's been great. I love it.
Right. So as a viewer, the experience is that you see them obviously just like you're standing in front of them live, but what they're doing is they're reading a monitor. What it looks like it's above the stage, and they're reading comments of people who are watching that stream. And in between their songs, they're actually calling out those comments and everything, just kind of like what we do in this show. But if you can kind of transpose that into a live experience, I mean, that's just like, that's the world we live in, and it's crazy. It's almost like I like Joe and I have had debates about social media, or maybe it's just my viewpoint is that it's harder to get people to go to live shows than it was 20 years ago, because 20 years ago there was no social media and everything. So it's like now there's I guess a pathway for people to still experience what just happened in some way, but.
Well, for us, it's one of those things where touring is so expensive and traveling is so expensive. We can essentially do a live show in your living room every week or on your phone, wherever you might be. Now, we also do stream some of our live shows, too, that are at a venue. So we really love that connection with our fans. So we love to see the comments, and we love to see what people want to hear. So we make that an integral part of what we're doing as a band.
All right. So we're going to unfortunately move on here, which is... It's always painful. I want to keep talking about this stuff, but the website is badmary.com, just how it sounds. You guys touring East Coast right now? What's the plan?
Right now we're working on a top secret album that if you go to our Patreon page and become a patron there, you can actually get information on that, and you can actually watch us write new songs. That's the thing that we're doing right now for currently. And our next shows out in that we're playing this summer are in Philadelphia for something called Liberty Music Fest, this is the third year we'll be playing that. We have 2 shows the weekend of August 24th. So that's going to be in Philadelphia. So it's a little bit of a road trip for us.
Nice.
And then moving forward, we're starting to build our fall and winter shows up now. So, hey, who knows where we'll end up?